Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Scoreboard Media. Scoreboard Media works with high schools across the country to run professional sponsorship programs on their LED scoreboards. Whether you already have LED and you just want to supercharge the revenue, or you want to use sponsorship revenue to buy new LED video scoreboards, Scoreboard Media can help. They work with sponsors and advertisers locally, regionally, and nationally who want to connect with your school's community. Email info@scoreboardmedia.com to start the conversation and see what's possible.
I think that's maybe the fun part about dribble drive motion is the joy that players have when they run it and the click moments. Like it just makes sense, the things you're asking them to do. I wonder, like when I was running flex in college, we're playing Kansas, trying to reverse the ball at half court, and I'm looking over at coach like, this doesn't make sense right now. Or some actions you're asking them to move and do things, and spacing isn't great, but at some point it will create the space that you want. But what I love about it is just what did we all do when we were little? We went outside to the playground, used to, and played. Or we were playing an open gym and free. There is structure to it, but the freedom just feels familiar. I had a coach say that you want your players to play in a style where they feel comfortable. That doesn't mean that they're not trying hard, but they feel comfortable and they feel familiar. I like that idea behind what you do.
Again, I think, remember I told you earlier, we got to put them in the best spots for them to be successful. And then they got to realize what their strengths are into the offense. For example, if I'm a really good shooter, okay, but I don't put the ball on the ground very well, there's a great spot for me because just being able to shoot well, it's going to be able to help me do certain things. Now, obviously, just like anything else, if I'm working with a post guy, right, and he's got a great go-to move, you're going to teach him a counter. So the counter and the dribble drive is once you become a really good shooter, okay, we want to teach you how to put the ball on the ground. But I think the other thing I think a lot of people miss is we want to teach them how to cut. Okay, because I think that's if I'm a great shooter, you deny me, learning how to cut, learning how to continually move is another way to help you score it. So if I'm a really good driver, okay, now what I want to teach you, you don't need to be able, if I'm a heck of a driver, I don't need to be able to pull up and take a three off the dribble. They're going to be afraid of me. I just need to be able to hit that set three. Now, once I hit that set three, what I try and teach them is move a little bit further back to open up their driving lane. Okay, then if they're good at that, then we work on the next thing just to make them a lot better player. I want to make them a complete player. But for me, if they're a good shooter, now I want to teach them maybe a good cutter and a good driver. If they're a good driver, we spend a ton of time on working on that three.
I think I've messed up over the years by not spending a lot of time on how to cut, and especially with my more talented shooters. I think our guys are very comfortable in staying. We probably don't go and catch enough either. But what are some of those, situations you can put them in, or what does a practice look like where you are going to emphasize cutting or teaching that a little bit more?
So what we do in practice, I just yell turnover. Okay, so if I pass and don't cut, I'll yell turnover. So that team loses the ball. If I pass and I don't cut to score, I just jog through, even though I make a fake cut, it's a turnover. So the other team will get the ball. So those are a lot of things that we teach. There's a certain things that in each of our practice, whenever we play 5-on-5, that's always a given. If they pass and they don't cut, it's an automatic turnover. So those are the ways that you can teach them, that part.
Coach, I love that. And I'm definitely going to borrow that from our talk because I don't really like you made a mistake, you're off the floor, or hey, 5 push-ups, you didn't cut. Something like that. I think one of the worst things you can do for guys is say turnover, you just lost the ball for their team. I think that'll stick really well.
No, it's again, the other thing that we always teach is whenever somebody's cutting and when they come out, see, for us, when you cut hard to the basket, as far as you cut, up, lag, see what's going on. Now you got to come out just as fast. On your way out, if you ever pass it to one of our players, it's also turnover. Okay, because we're not going to shoot that 15, 12, 15, 18 footer. So on their way coming out, we're looking at him, but we're really looking inside to see if there's a little screw up. And then once he's outside the three. So if I pass it to you and you catch it a foot inside the three, again, that's a turnover in our practice because we don't have the right spacing.
I wanted to ask about the dunker spot. What adjustments is there anything different you've done with that spot over the years? Do you ever allow those guys to push out into the corner, almost creating a little bit more of the 5 out? I ask that because I've gone back and forth with 4 out, 1 in and 5 out. I love getting to drive in the 4 out, 1 in and hit that dunker when he cheat steps it. Like there's just a joy there. I love seeing the paint wide open with the 5 out. So have you been able to blend those two at all?
Several things that through the years been working on. I think number one, you got to remember 4 out versus 5 out. What's the gaps?
Yep. 5 out, in my opinion, can't be like this because single, 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 single. You almost have to turn it.
Exactly right. See, even though we're a 4 out, I never want the 4 out is always with the man in motion. I don't want a guard, wing situation. Guard, only if we're going to set it up to run a play. Okay, we'll do that. Otherwise, I want one of my guards going through, giving him that whole top to penetrate. Okay, so the other thing, I said this through the years, I felt back in the late 90s when we started running this, I really felt it was going to be something pretty darn good. Because we were winning games against people we shouldn't have been beating. Okay. I think the next evolution of this is I would love to see a 6'8", 6'9" player in that dunker spot, flashing, hitting, cutting, and now he runs the offense. And that's what worked. That's my next evolution of the offense.
Where's he popping to?
A lot of times we'll pop, for example, let's say, our 5 cuts through up top of my, most people's 4, but my 5. He'll cut through and my 4 will come right off his tail. He'll come to be right between the free throw line, top of the key. So now one hits him and there's a lot of things you can do off of that.
So if he catches and faces up and he's got just the corner to his right.
No face it yet.
Okay.
He's the one play off of him.
Okay.
For example, I had a really good shooter a couple of years ago in high school, and we would flash, hit him. He'd cut hard. If they went underneath, he'd take the 3. If they fought over the top, a lot of times he'd get it over the top going to the hoop. Then we would coming back out, and he would set some type, he could set a screen. We can set another screen for him. It just continues. You're just playing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things. Then you can do it to where we hit him, he cuts. Now you can go with DHO on one side. So there's a lot of different things. You can pass, go, screen. You can do a lot of different things off of that.
How do the NBA guys take to the spacing, the idea? And it's not a limiting offense by any means, but maybe some of the things with mid-range, and how did they like it?
It's up to each coach and what their beliefs are, but you know how that is. You said it earlier, it's your conviction, and those coaches got their conviction was playing this way or playing that way. The thing that was neat about George or even John Calipari, John had his certain way of playing. And once he saw this, he realized a couple of things when he was back with Memphis. 1, it was an exciting style. 2, great recruiting tool. Okay. 3, again, I think that one of the best things with this is let's be honest. There's a lot of players out there that can really get to the rack. Okay, there may not be as many good shooters. I think there's more players that can get to the rack than there are really good shooters. Okay, so in this offense, if you can really shoot it, there's a great spot for you. If you can really rack it, there's a great spot for you. Now, if you can rack and shoot it, you're probably going to the next level.
Yeah.
You're on that combination. So for him, it was a great selling point. I just, again, even for me here at Fresno State, I think it's, if we're going to have success, this has got to be a big part of it. And look, you're going to have the opportunity. We're going to teach you, because let's be honest, NBA, if you can't beat your man off the dribble, you're either the 3-and-D guy or you're not playing. Yep. So you got to learn how to beat your guy off the dribble. You got to learn how to knock that open three down. And that's really what we're teaching them.
Love to know a little bit about your program. And I have the standards and pillars that you have at Fresno State always been with you, even from your high school days, or something new there. But what does your, I guess, culture, that's what those words are, but culture of your program?
That won't change. I expect the best out of them. You hit it. You said it several times. One of the best traits is availability. You can be a great jumper. You can be a great shooter. You can be this. But if you're not on that practice floor or you're not playing, what good are you? Yeah. So we try and talk about that. And I think the biggest thing, and like I said earlier, I want to give them the best. I expect the best for them. When they cross those lines, as goofy as it is, I still have them tuck their shirts in. They look at me, come on, coach, this is tucking your shirts in. I'm old-fashioned on a few things. Okay. The other thing I'm really big on, I think it's so critical, is being a great teammate. Okay. I just think, I've said it earlier, I don't think it's the 5 best players. I think a lot of times you can win with the 5 who play the best together. Obviously, the 5 best players can beat those other guys. But if you really want a chance, you got to really teach them that. And then the last thing, I think the number one thing that defines a team is shot selection. So we talk all the time on what a good shot is. If I come down and take a questionable shot, Joe next to me, next time he gets it, he feels like he's not going to get it. He's going to take that. Next thing you know, you got 2 or 3 of those in a quick segment, and you go from a 3-point game to a 10-point game just because you shot yourself in the foot. Not what they did, but you settled. So, and that's one of the hardest things right now, teaching guys from all different areas coming in. They feel like it's my turn to shoot or whatever. So shot selection to me is a real, real big thing.
Coach, I'm so glad you said that. I believe in teaching shot selection on day 1 of the school year. Like that. That's what we start with. First double whistle, they come in and we establish what that is. And we use a scale here that I just took from the PGC shooting colleges years ago when I got to work with those. I think a lot of times you could tell a lot about a team's culture, the program standards, with how they deal with shot selection. Because you're dealing with mistake response, process oriented. Are you process or are you resulting every possession down? I think that shot selection has a lot to do with that.
Without a doubt. And again, let's be honest, we're not going to be as talented as, we had 6 teams in our conference last year make the NC2As. We are near the bottom. We're not, if we can't do a few things different, I'm hoping our tempo might change some things. But, to me, the biggest thing is our only chance of success is that we have to value every possession. We can't have sloppy turnovers, and we have to have good shots. If we can do that, I think it gives you a much better chance to succeed. At least for me, through the years it has.
46 years of coaching, what's one rule change that you'd like to see and why?
Really, the one in the NBA, I wish they would change. There's one in the NBA, okay, that drives me crazy, is I wish any shot behind half court would not count as a shot attempt. If it goes in, you're 1 for 1. If it doesn't go in, don't count it. How many times do you see at the end of a quarter, 2 seconds to go, the guy takes 1 dribble, 2 dribbles, horn shoots, then he shoots it? See, I know it may not seem a lot. A lot of their agents tell them not to shoot it.
You think that's on purpose? You're saying that's on purpose or that by accident?
I know.
Yeah,
Just think about it. I mean, just think about it. NBA, you got 4 quarters. Let's say 2 out of 4, you have the last shot. Let's say you're the best player. So that's 1 out of every, probably once a game, you're going to have that shot. If it's in the backcourt or whatever, you're looking at, let's say that can happen 30 times a year to a certain player, 25 times a year. Go 1 for 25 or 0 for 25 from that 3. And what does it do for your shooting, your 3-point?
That'll affect it. Yeah.
Exactly right. So for me, just watch the game.
I will. I feel like my eyes are open now.
You just watch when they get in the backcourt, the end of the first second, there, where it's a dribble, the board goes, then they act like they shoot it, Or
The only guy that doesn't do that is Curry, because he can actually hit those with regularity.
There's a couple of them that don't care.
Yeah, but they have to be at probably a certain level at that point to not care, right?
Yeah, but again, that's one rule. And then I think for college, I would love to see the international rule on where anything on the rim is live. I would love to see that. Because I hate to see it. Is it goaltending? Is it not goaltending? When it's on, above the rim or whatever. I think once it hits the rim, let it play. Let it play.
What about 4 quarters? Would you like to see it go from halves to that?
I would. I would love to see that on the men's side. I would also like to see the men's side get to the girls' side, where the girl at the end of the game on a timeout, you get to advance it.
I would change up 2 to 3 seconds at the end of games now is drastically different.
I do like the rule change last year in college with the charge. Anything close, call a damn block. I'm not a big fan of people trying to jump in and take charges. I just think too many people get hurt in those situations. Yep. So I really do like that rule change.
Coach, last question, and then we'll do a 2-minute speed round. I'll get you out of here. All the levels of play that you coached at, with that journey, and every coach is this, for the most part, is this way. With that journey, your family is moving along with it. Over the years, how have you balanced coaching and family life?
I've been blessed, and it's not easy to do. I'm sure you've seen how many coaches been divorced and tough times with their family. I married a very special person who knew what my love was. It's always been a big part of it. I think to make that successful, I think you need to have them be a big part of it. And my wife and my kids, through everything I've done, have always been a big part of that. I mean, my wife was a nurse, when she was working full time when I had the young kids. And so they'd be down the gym with me. I'd throw them in the wrestling room or whatever we had to do, but they knew it and they survived. It was just part of their life growing up, but it was a big part of it. We go on every weekend, we go on a different trip. I would take my kids and take my wife with me wherever we're playing, whether it's in LA, Vegas, or whatever else, I would take them. So I think making them a big part of what you do is really how you, at least for me, and having that special person that knows that commitment on what you're going to do. Because, I mean, I'll be honest with you, as a high school coach, I was down in my gym at 5:30 every morning. Okay. In the off season, I ran AAU till 9 o'clock 2 nights a week, open gym till 7 o'clock. There was 1 day a week in the off season. I would be home by 5:30, 5:45. So, I get home at 9 o'clock, right back at school at 5:30 in the morning. But I knew that's what it took to be successful. Now, would I do that if I wasn't successful? Hell no. I wouldn't be that crazy to put all that time in. But again, I just think if your players see you work hard, and like you said, you got to open up that gym for them to be successful.
Yeah. My first year here at Faith, I was newly married to my wife, Jana, and it was both of our second go around. And so she had been a part of one and learned some things from that. And her dad was a football coach for 30 plus years. So if anybody knows about putting time in, it's the football coaches, man. They are up there 7 days a week. And so she saw that growing up. And when I first got this job, I just told her, I was like, baby, it's my first head job. Just so you know, I'm going to be putting in a lot of time here. I just want you to prepare for that. And I'll never forget, she stopped and she said, Matt, I understand that. I just don't want to feel second. Like, I don't want to feel second. And I felt that before. And man, it hit me. And I'm not saying I've been great at that over the years, but what are some, you just mentioned all the time that you spent, and what are some ways that you made sure that your wife and your family didn't feel second?
I think it's what I said earlier. I make them a big part of it.
Yeah, bring them together.
They, like I said, they're with us on the trips. I bring the players over to the house. All my players know what my wife does. My wife every year would put a book together for the kids. It'd be about 75, 80 pages of not only their stats, there'd be different photos, there'd be different articles and everything. Excuse me.
That's cool.
She was a very big part of everything that we would do. She would be at every game, and just even when I was in college at Pepperdine, I would have her. I would put her on the plane to every game. Now, NBA was different. That's a whole different beast. But like I said, in high school, junior college, and college, I bet you she's been at 90% of the games.
Mike Neighbors said, don't even try to have balance. He said, balance isn't possible. Bring them together. Have them there all the time. And it sounds like what you did.
Yep.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.